causes of most running injuries are determined by how much runner pronates. Pronation refers to the side-to-side motions of the back of the foot during the touchdown and the stance phases of both walking and running. The functional relevance of foot pronation in walking and running is to provide mechanical support as well as impact protection. However, too much foot pronation during running especially may actually work against your injury prevention efforts, as many studies have discovered that excessive pronation or overpronation or hyperpronation of the foot during running may actually amplify impact stress and have a profound ripple effect up the leg that may increase torque, rotation, and bending strain to reach a level of injury on the Achilles tendon, the shins, as well as the knees. Basically, with foot overpronation during running, the foot essentially wrestles with the ground too intensively because the foot is shifting into extreme positions on the ground. And according to much of the research to date, the list of things that can go wrong with foot overpronation regarding injury when running certainly outweighs to that of running with less foot pronation or more controlled foot pronation. Some studies specifically implicate that foot strike pattern during running may ultimately influence foot pronation patterns such that the foot may undergo a different pronation pattern in heel strike running than in forefoot strike running, and this difference may yield clues about more of an exact relation between foot strike pattern and injury in running. In fact, several studies have connected heel strike running to pushing foot pronation out of a safer range, which may overstress the lower leg more so than in forefoot strike running. For instance, some lines of research, which are all linked down below this video in the description box, found that during the stance phase of heel strike running, the forefoot or the front of the foot rapidly rotated outward away from the midline as the body weight passed over the foot from heel to toe. This also caused the arch to fully collapse, which forced the medial border of the foot, which is the inner border of the foot extending from the heel to the big toe, to absorb excessive levels of abnormal stress until the forefoot thrusted the body forward. This excessive abnormal forefoot stress due to the arch collapsing too much during the pronation phase or the stance phase in heel strike running also increased the frictional forces on the foot with the ground, and taken together, the cumulative effect of these physical stressors at the feet amplified impact stress at the ankles and the shins, whereby this additional impact stress loading across the lower leg may increase the risk for medial shin splints. This finding suggests that one way or another, the pronation pattern of the foot in heel strike running may not really pay off for injury prevention, because when the arch fully collapses like it does, when the body weight travels from heel to toe, may lead to abnormal foot postures that may project heavier mechanical stress and strain on the foot and the leg, and the hyperpronation pattern of the foot in this way in heel strike running may result in insufficient impact absorption, which may in turn result in higher rates of impact levels across multiple sites on the lower leg, namely the shins, and essentially may keep injuries going. However, landing with a forefoot strike while running may prevent foot pronation from going wrong, because a shorter ground contact time duration of the foot is a natural complement response of landing forefoot first during running. So there isn't a lot of time for pronatory mobility impairments of the foot to kick in, like in heel strike running, where in heel strike running, the foot spends a lot more time on the ground, which may essentially free up more time for abnormal foot motions and postures to take hold. But what is more is that by no means are the natural foot pronation patterns similar between heel strike running and forefoot strike running. The foot pronation patterns between the two foot strike types in running are very different, which is why there's different varieties and intensities of impact forces and stress variables. In fact, I did a video, which is also linked down below this video in the description box, on how the foot may operate from a safer pronatory pattern in forefoot strike running, which may be more protective against so many injurious outcomes with heel strike running. But as for how the foot pronation pattern in forefoot strike running may ease mechanical burdens on the shins, is that the same study found that the medial aspect of the foot in forefoot strike running didn't endure a rise in abnormal loading during the stance phase on account of there was just less overall support demands required of the medial foot during the support phase in forefoot strike running, making that part of the foot less prone to overuse and overloading, which in turn may make it easier to avoid medial shin splints as compared with heel strike running. Overall, this kind of data makes it more clear that foot strike pattern in running may certainly strongly influence injuries by affecting the way the foot pronates and therefore affects the way the foot contributes to impact absorption and mechanical stability, such that the movement path of the foot in heel strike running may force certain motions and postures of the foot that may put the leg under more pressure and stress than in forefoot strike running. And because of the notable differences in foot pronation, whereby the movement path of the foot in forefoot strike running seems to do a lot more to limit negative interactions of the foot with the ground, is also why there's a very good reason forefoot strike running seems to be gaining the upper in paying off long term for injury prevention over heel strike running. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to hit the thumbs up button as well as the subscribe button if you haven't already. You'll stay more informed on forefoot strike running versus heel strike running, as well as more informed on the benefits of barefoot running and minimalist running. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have fun up there on the roads and trails. Bye for now.